My friends, hold on to your wallets. Hold on to your money, because the government is coming to take it away and waste it. You heard me, my friends. To take your money away and waste it, that's what governments do best. That's what our own federal government is doing. What's the proof? Item from CNSnews.com. The U.S. Treasury hauled in $240.4 billion in total taxes in the month of May, setting a record for inflation-adjusted tax revenues for that month of the year, according to the Monthly Treasury Statement released this week. Despite these record revenues, however, hold on to your wallet, the federal government still ran a deficit of $88.4 billion in May, because it spent $328.8 billion in the month. Unquote. So they're taking more of our money than ever before, and they're still in the red. They still can't make ends meet. So what can we do about it? Well, the first thing we can do is stop voting for phony baloney politicians who say yes to everything we ask for. How about voting for real-life, honest politicians who realize and don't mind telling people that, yes, sometimes you got to say no. That's how grown-ups live. That's how grown-up government should operate. So what else do we do? Call, write, meet in person with local, federal, and state legislators. Write your local newspapers, radio, and TV stations. Write to national magazines. Write a blog. Write letters to the editor. Do a podcast. Rent radio time. Organize protests, have parlor meetings to discuss issues, talk to co-workers, friends, family, especially talk to your children. Yes, your children. Run for office. Give speeches to local organizations, start a website, support worthy organizations. Most of all, don't ever vote Democrat again. Because when it comes to taking too much of our money and spending it stupidly, well, the Democratic Party has raised that to an art form. The Republicans do it too, but they do it to a much less degree. The Democrats' whole thing is tax and spend. So you'll find this whole list of things on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. But most of all, do something. Don't just listen to me rant on the radio because it makes you giggle. Don't just go tisk, tisk, tisk. Yeah, things are really screwed up. Be part of the solution. Be part of the answer. You'll feel better. Your family and friends will feel better about you, and your country will operate better. And so your children will benefit down the road, and your grandchildren. It's how this country is supposed to operate. And it's absolutely necessary. It's Thursday, and it's Real Truth. I'll be right back.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter might be able to. No one anywhere is more noble, righteous, ethical, and courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families fulfill for our freedom every day. And the military practice today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they care.
If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Ferris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Ferris Survival.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Howard Riell, Real Truth. You know the call-in number by now. I'm not going to bother repeating it all the time. You should know it by now. Should have committed it to memory by now. So let's go forward. You know who's to blame for the shooting yesterday morning of that Republican legislator in D.C. before the baseball game? You know who was responsible, right? No, I don't mean the guy who pulled the trigger. I mean the person who's really responsible. If you don't know, just ask the liberal media. They'll tell you. Obviously, it was Sarah Palin. Right? Here's Rush Limbaugh. My friends, he's exactly right. He's exactly right. You know it and I know it. I needn't belabor the point. Item. From the Economic Collapse blog, what in the world did the left think would happen when Kathy Griffin posed for a photo with, quote, Trump's bloody head, unquote? That sent a message. And the twisted version of Julius Caesar currently being put on by a New York theater group in which a character meant to closely resemble Donald Trump is brutally assassinated sends a message. At any time of the day, you can find leftist radicals openly discussing violence against Trump and Republicans on Facebook and Twitter. And groups like Antifa have been employing extremely violent tactics ever since the inauguration. So it's not much of a surprise that a huge Bernie Sanders supporter decided it would be a good idea to try to mow down Republican members of Congress as they were practicing for an upcoming charity baseball game on yesterday. 66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson was simply the product of a political movement absolutely seething with hate. This is not a game. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise was shot in the hip. 4 others were injured. You can see some of the footage of Scalise being taken to an ambulance. When Hodgkinson arrived at the practice field, he specifically asked which party was using the practice field at the moment. Representative Ron DeSantis, Republican Florida, recounted an odd encounter he had as he was leaving the field just minutes before the shooting. Quote, there was a guy that walked up to us that was asking whether it was Republicans or Democrats out there, and it was just a little odd. Unquote. It's more than odd, my friends. It's sick, and it's obscene, and it's got Democrat fingerprints all over it. We'll be back.
Now this is the testimony of John, whom the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who are you? He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, I am not the Messiah. And they asked him, what then? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you the prophet? And he answered, no. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21. The people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best in town, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Thank you for doing a great job. Shop and read the family. We realize the job is called 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. The uniform people in Greenland.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to send you over to Sean Hannity on Fox News, who's going to talk a little bit about what's been going on the last 24 hours or so. Tomorrow and over the weekend, do yourselves a favor. Go to a blog I've put up called personalprofit.wordpress.com. Also go to Facebook and look for a Personal Profit page. That's mine. Look at it, read it, get in touch with me. Let me know what you think. Personalprofit.wordpress.com and then Personal Profit on Facebook. Let me throw it to Sean Hannity on Fox.
All right, so the Washington Post citing, once again, anonymous sources, as if they haven't been wrong enough recently, reporting tonight that the special counsel, Robert Mueller, is actually looking into possible obstruction of justice by the president. Now, you've got to keep in mind, the same newspaper The Washington Post that has been wrong time and time again, just in the last 6 weeks, when it comes to breaking so-called news stories about the president. For example, the Post was dead wrong when they reported the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, threatened to quit because of James Comey's firing. Rosenstein actually said the exact opposite on camera at a TV station in Washington, D.C. Then, Washington Post, flat out wrong about James Comey asking for more resources for the Russia investigation just before he was fired. The acting FBI director, Andrew McCabe, later testified under oath that never happened. They had enough money. And of course, the Washington Post are not the only members of this destroy Trump media that we've been talking about that has gotten it wrong over and over again. ABC, CNN, the New York Times, they've all done the exact same thing. So tonight, and over the next few days, when the media predictably is going to breathlessly and hyperventilate all kinds of reports and brand new black helicopters and tinfoil hat conspiracy theories to you, the American people, as they lie again, remember they have zero credibility left. And it's only a matter of time before this too will be debunked like everything else they reported in pretty much the last 11 months. Now, here's the only massive issue being ignored in all of this. We have actual crimes, actual collusion that needs to be fully completed, investigated, and prosecuted. And they have nothing to do with President Trump or his administration. James Comey testified. Loretta Lynch tried to influence the FBI's Clinton email investigation. That is called obstruction of justice. Comey also may have broken the law. Remember, we talked about 18 U.S.C. 4, 18 U.S.C. 641. If he thought it was obstruction, he had a moral, legal obligation to tell people immediately. Robert Mueller, this guy has more conflicts of interest that, by the way, we can count on this show, which also are violations of federal law. Mueller and Comey have been close friends for a long time. Comey admitted he leaked the memo to the New York Times, to the press, hoping it would bring about a special counsel, which, by the way, turned out to be his best buddy, his BFF, Robert Mueller. Now, Fox News previously reported Comey's testimony last week was, quote, closely coordinated with the special counsel. These are massive conflicts of interest that cannot be ignored. According to my colleague, Greg Jarrett, Comey and Mueller's relationship may, in fact, violate two laws. We're putting them up on the side of your screen right now. You can read them. And it gets worse. Mueller's investigative team, let's see, 3 people donated to Democrats, including Hillary and Obama, and 1 investigator, the very same lawyer that represented Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation, and, by the way, tried to oppose Freedom of Information Act requests. Now, speaking, by the way, of the Clintons, we know Hillary Clinton committed felonies with her email private server scandal. If Democrats want to talk about collusion, great, let's talk about it and take a look at the collusion with Vladimir Putin, Uranium One, 20% of the foundational material to make nuclear weapons. While serving as Secretary of State, she signed off on a waiver giving 20% of that uranium to Putin, to the Russians, all while people involved in that deal were funneling millions of dollars back to the Clinton Foundation. There you go, Russia conspiracy. And her husband doubled his speaking fees in Moscow. And by the way, what we're seeing now, this is so deep. It's a deep state. They want retribution. This is now about an unelected part of your government looking to overturn the results of a duly elected president. By the way, whoever leaked this information to the Washington Post, unnamed sources, 5 of them, unnamed sources, they need to be arrested, prosecuted, and put in jail. It is time, once and for all. We have got to get a grip on Obama, deep state holdovers. Every one of them need to go, or this will never end. And those people that are leaking top secret information, special access information, classified information, and Comey, Clinton, and Lynch all need to be prosecuted based on just the facts as we know them now. And Mueller and Rod Rosenstein recuse themselves, resign immediately. Here with reaction.
We can all agree that we are blessed to be Americans, that our children deserve to grow up in a nation of safety and peace, and that we are strongest when we are unified and when we work together for the common good. Please take a moment today to cherish those you love and always remember those who serve and keep us safe.
President Trump earlier today addressing the nation following today's left-wing assassination attempt on Republican lawmakers. Joining us now here on the scene is Fox News' Correspondent-at-large Geraldo Rivera, throughout the course of your incredible career, you have covered sad stories like this. This was, are they Republican or Democrat? Point blank in some cases. I mean, 5 people. It could have been so much worse, but it's scary. This is scary.
This was attempted partisan mass murder is what it was, Sean. Can you imagine if the thin blue line... First, let me interrupt myself. That's the president we need right now to guide this country. That's the tone. That's the message. He is the president for all Americans today. He was really, that is the man we need to bring this grotesquely divided country together.
They hate him. You got ISIS poses. You got Shakespeare plays.
Now let me go back to your first question. I want to get back to the Shakespeare play. Can you imagine if those 2 Capitol cops were not here? You had the congressman here. You look at the field. You would have had another Pulse nightclub. You would have had the shooter armed with the military-style assault weapon plus the pistol, unlimited rounds. He would have gone congressperson to congressperson. He would have killed this one, walked over this one, still killed that one. You would have had blood all over that field. Sean, it was a miracle that those 2 cops, a man and a woman, stood their ground and ultimately took him out, even after giving him a chance to surrender 10 times after the local police arrived to back them up. In terms of the hatred that's out there, we have gone from partisan rancor to an unbelievable, profound, wicked hatred of the other party. It is absolutely indefensible, and the miracle is that you don't see more of this. That's the bottom line.
Brother, this is, I got to go back to these 2 Capitol Police officers. You know, I've been a marksman since I'm 11. Pistol marksman. I could shoot a rifle, but my expertise is in pistol shooting. Do you realize pistols in an open field against a rifle?
A rifle that he was using.
You're basically saying, kill me. They opened themselves up for death tonight, and they won and protected probably 20 other lives.
At least. And both of them wounded. Both of them got up. Both of them wounded, got up. And I just think that it is magnificent. It really... When you honor cops, you got to honor these people. I want to go back to what you brought up about Shakespeare in the park and the theatrical stabbing of Julius Caesar, aka Donald Trump, and then Kathy Griffin with the
ISIS pose.
Yeah, they didn't cause this, but they didn't cause what happened. But they are the symptom of a division where this kind of festering hatred has been allowed to.
Once again, Geraldo Rivera is wrong when he says they didn't cause it. They create a certain environment, a certain vibe. You know, let's make it real simple, because I'm from Brooklyn. I need it real simple. When your parent says you're in bed by 10, no exceptions, and then make sure you're in bed at 10, well, then you know you're going to go to bed at 10. When suddenly your parent lets you stay up, oh, okay, stay up a few more minutes. Now it's 5 after 10. Okay, so that line's not so hard anymore. Next night, you push the boundary. Well, maybe I'll stay up until 8 minutes after 10. Before you know it, you're staying up till 10:30. And then you're like 11, and it gets later and later. That's the way it happened to me. These guys are responsible for the horrible violence and the rancor happening in America today, because they keep pushing the envelope further and further and further and further and further. And when people hear, average Americans, hear politicians, entertainers saying things about violence. We got to kill Trump. Madonna said she wants to burn down the White House. Kathy Griffin with the severed head. Well, that pushes the conversation forward and forward and forward until it reaches a cliff and it falls off like it did yesterday. So no, Geraldo, they're not symptoms, they are causes. People think, celebrities think that because they're celebrities, because they can get cameras to point in their direction, that they've necessarily got something intelligent to say. Most of the time, in my experience, they don't. So don't tell me Kathy Griffin holding a severed head that looks like Donald Trump in a video. Don't tell me that has nothing to do with this shooting. Of course it does. And that play where Trump gets stabbed? Of course it does. Stop the nonsense and all the lies on CNN and all the economic and racial division sown on CNN and MSNBC and ABC, CBS, ABC. It all plays a role. It all pushes that deadline back. So don't tell me it doesn't play a role. All right, we got a couple minutes left. Let's go back to Hannity and Geraldo.
Metastasize to a place now where anything is possible, where anything goes. And I really think that the president has to now calm things down.
Wrong! Exactly wrong. Now, Geraldo is a lifelong liberal, so he's not about to tell the truth, so I will. This whole ramping up of emotions started a long time ago, but most recently it started with people being attacked at Trump rallies last year. And it's grown from that. It's all on the left. The violence, the hatred, the vitriol is coming from the left. People on the right just want to take care of business and fix what's broken. The left spews hatred because that's what they do and it's what they are. You won't hear that from Geraldo Rivera because he's on the left. He's not honest enough to say this to you, but I am.
I understand he's
Did he do it? I did do it.
He was terrific, and our thoughts and prayers out to both the wounded congressman
and the other families.
You know, when you get hit in the hip with a military-style assault weapon,
I saw the bullet, the same style bullet.
It's devastating. It's devastating, and you know, I think that because you say he got a hit in the hip, you tend to minimize what happened.
He got in real trouble today.
This is real serious stuff.
You're going to be reporting from Fox all day tomorrow here?
Speech at Middlebury College. So I think what they all have in...
By the way, this is, we're about to go to a commercial, so let's do some news, and then we'll come back with something else, my friends. Item from the Activist Post. Will Porter reporting the Senate voted to support a sale of $510 million in precision-guided munitions to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. That's 2 days ago, defeating a resolution to block the deal in a narrow 47-53 vote. The bipartisan resolution was introduced by Kentucky Senator Rand Paul and Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, both of whom also backed a similar resolution last year to prevent the tank sale to the Saudis under the Obama administration, which was easily killed 71-27. Senator Paul voiced concern over the deal on CNN on Tuesday. He said the following, quote, I think one of the most important emails and information we got from the leaked emails from Hillary Clinton was an email she sent to John Podesta, Rand Paul said. In it, she said, quote, we need to put pressure on the Saudis and the Qataris because they're giving financial and logistical help to ISIS, unquote. So we're going to sell $350 billion worth of weapons to a country that the insiders were saying we're actually giving weapons to ISIS? That's a real problem for me, unquote. My friends, it's a problem for me. It's a problem for you. It's a problem for America. Saudi Arabia is no friend of the United States. Never has been, never will be. Selling them weapons will only result in America and its allies being harmed and the cause of peace being harmed. It's time the United States of America washed its hands once and for all of Saudi Arabia. And by the way, you know that oil that they have in Saudi Arabia? Maybe we make that our oil. What do you think? We'll be back.
R&R Supply Incorporated in Fort Collins reminds us, every day our troops demonstrate their dedication to our nation. Now is the time for us to return the favor. Hire our returning veterans who served in the past. After investing their lives in our nation, they deserve our investment in them. This message is from R&R Supply Incorporated in Fort Collins, and they're on the air, reminding all of us that our freedom has never been free.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution. Elizabeth Walker Plan reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early age. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Walker Plant, located at 366 Cat Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized HB and IV and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240. If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Ferris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Ferris Survival. The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter not be able to find. No one anywhere is more noble, righteous, justice, and courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families foot the bill for our freedom every day, and the military care package today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they care.
All right, guys, welcome back to Real Truth. Remember, over the weekend, you're going to go to personalprofit.wordpress.com. That's my new blog. Also, you're going to go to Facebook, look for Personal Profit, P-R-O-P-H-E-T. Let me know what you think. Now, we were just talking about Saudi Arabia, great Muslim country, great power in the Muslim countries in the Middle East. So we should know something about Islam, right? Now, I've been remiss. I haven't talked about Islam as much as I should. Here's a former guest on my show, Brigitte Gabriel. She's about to tell us about the entire history of Islam in just a few minutes. And if you think it's not relevant to you, well, you listen and then decide. Brigitte Gabriel.
What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to crunch 1,400 years of Islamic history in 5 minutes and make it as exciting as I can possibly make it. Because I hated history when I was a little girl. At this age, I appreciate history. And now I understand why they say those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. In order for you to understand why Western civilization is very different than the Islamic world, you need to understand the history of Islam. When Prophet Muhammad supposedly revealed his revelation from the angel Gabriel that he is supposed to be the last of the prophets in the early 600s, he started preaching in his own city, Mecca. He tried to recruit friends and followers to be able to spread his religion. And he tried for 12 years and failed. And after 12 years, he was only able to recruit his immediate family and friends. So he decided, if I go to Medina, which was the Jewish hub of Arabia, the business hub where the Jews lived, if I go there and preach my religion to them, if they accept me, that will buy me respect and stature between my own people, and they will accept me. So Prophet Muhammad started borrowing a lot from the Old Testament to make his religion more palpable to the Jews, to make it a lot similar. This is why you see a lot of similarities between Judaism and Islam. For example, Jews don't eat pigs, Muslims don't eat pigs. Jews pray a few times a day, Muslims pray a few times a day. Jews fast on Yom Kippur, Muslims fast on Ramadan. And this is why you started seeing a lot of good writing in the beginning of the Quran when Prophet Muhammad was saying all the good things about the people of the book. He took his message and went to Medina trying to recruit the Jews. talking about the people of the book, talking about how similar the two religions are. When they refused to accept him and follow him as the last of the prophet, that's when he turned against them and started killing them and started expelling them. That's when Islam went from a spiritual movement for the first 12 years of Islam into a political movement cloaked in religion after the year of the Hijrah, after Muhammad went to Medina and the Jews did not accept him. He became a military warrior and declared war on them and started expelling them. Jews and Christians became dhimmi, or second-class citizens. They were only allowed to stay alive.
Uh-oh. Looks like I had a little problem there. Hang on one second. Technical problems are my middle name. It looks like we've had a technical problem, my friends. I don't know why. Chances are I will never know why. However, we have had one. Hang on one second. Let's see what we can do about this.
So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to
Here we go. Hold on. Making it better. There we go.
Launched because they just felt like waking up in the morning and going and converting a bunch of Muslims or beheading them. The Crusaders were launched to liberate Jerusalem, and they were able to liberate Jerusalem for less than 100 years before Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, Saladin, took it back, and Jerusalem remained under Islamic control until 1967, when the State of Israel liberated Jerusalem, where Christians, Jews, and Muslims could pray under the same sky. The Crusaders continued fighting Islam, and for 300 years they tried and failed. And by the 1300s, the Crusaders disappeared because they could not win against Islam. Islam continued to expand. They went all the way to Central Europe. They went all the way to China. They went to India. They conquered Spain. They changed the name of Spain from Spain to Andalusia. And they started, as they advanced, as they conquered more nations, more people paid the jizya, or the protection tax. And this is how the Islamic Empire grew. It went all the way until they were stopped at the gates of Vienna on 9/11. 9/11 is not a date that Osama bin Laden just picked out of a hat. 9/11 is a symbolic date in the Islamic calendar. Between the 1600s, Islam had covered more of the earth's surface than the Roman Empire did at its peak. Between the 1600s and the 1800s, the Europeans were experiencing the European Industrial Revolution, where the Europeans were able to invent products on factory lines, where they are able to make money and sell products, which gave them the money to build a strong army in order to fight the Muslims. And that's how they were able to stop them at the gates of Vienna on 9/11. The Europeans started the pushback against Islam. They pushed them out of Europe. They pushed them out of all the way to the Middle East and North Africa. By 1924, the Islamic Empire ended. In 1924, the Islamic Caliphate ended in Turkey by President Ataturk, who was a secularist. He ended the Islamic Empire, and he gave women rights to vote. He gave women a right to an education, a right to work, a right to choose a husband. He forbid women from wearing the hijab. He forbid men from wearing the beard. The Muslims hate him so much that they consider him a Jewish agent, because they believe that his mother in her bloodline was Jewish, and that was the influence on Ataturk. By the time the Islamic Empire, or the Islamic Caliphate, or the Islamic State ended in 1924, the Islamic Caliphate had existed for 1400 years, and it ended less than 100 years ago. By the time the Islamic Caliphate ended in 1924, 270 million people around the world were killed by Islam. 270 million. And we didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and there was nuclear weapons. All of these people were killed, butchered by the sword. The people in the world, less than 100 years ago, how many people knew this history? Please raise your hand. We in America have failed to educate our children about history. We in America failed to educate our population about history. Our children in high school, you take any 17, 16-year-old.
My friends, here's the bad news. I'm going to stop the video right there because we're about to hit a break. The good news is I've posted it on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio, R-I-E-L-L. Go there, watch the entire video. It's about halfway through. Share it with people. Learn from Brigitte Gabriel, who was born and raised a Muslim, and now she became a Christian. Now she's gone out in public for years already. She's written books, which are very worth reading, and she speaks publicly at great personal risk to educate Americans about the threat posed to us by Islam. So watch that video on my Facebook page. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with Ann Coulter's latest column. This is Real Truth. Go nowhere.
I'm here with the DuPont Pioneer team. So tell us, what are you bringing to the table to help producers manage feed costs?
Feed management is always on a producer's mind.
It sure is. So we take a whole operation approach to help them maximize feed value.
By combining the right products with our expertise and services, we can help producers improve profitability.
It's big picture thinking for big time production. So work with your DuPont Pioneer team to get the most out of every bite. Pioneer, with you from the word go.
He was in the world was made through him. The world did not know. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America's News Network.
We thank them for doing a great job. Job and bring it down. We realize the job is sometimes done. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. And the uniform people in Greeley.
My friends, we still got plenty. You're listening to Howard Riell on Real Truth. This August, 9 full years. Absolutely amazing, right? Who knew you could get this old? Anyway, remember, over the weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to go to my blog, personalprofit.wordpress.com. Personalprofit.wordpress.com. You can go to my Facebook page, Personal Profit. Look them over, read, view, let me know what you think. Now, Ann Coulter has a brand new column out. You know, I love Ann Coulter. The headline, you go to anncoulter.com. The headline, The Resistance Goes Live Fire. Here's what she has to say. This is just posted yesterday. The explosion of violence against conservatives across the country is being intentionally ginned up by Democrats, reporters, TV hosts, late-night comedians, and celebrities who compete with one another to come up with the most vile epithets for Trump and his supporters. They go right up to the line, trying not to cross it by, for example, vamping with a realistic photo of a decapitated Trump or calling the president a piece of blank while hosting a show on CNN. The media are orchestrating a bloodless coup, but they're perfectly content to have their low IQ shock troops pursue a bloody coup. This week, one of the left's foot soldiers gunned down Republican members of Congress and their staff while they were playing baseball in Virginia. Democratic socialist James Hodgkinson was prevented from committing a mass murder only by the happenstance of a member of the Republican leadership being there, along with his 24-hour Capitol Police protection. Remember when it was frightening for the losing party not to accept the results of an election? During the third debate, Trump refused to preemptively agree to the election results, saying he'd, quote, look at it at the time. The media responded with their usual laid-back style. Headline from the Washington Post, a horrifying repudiation of democracy. Headline from the Daily News, denial of democracy. Headline from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, one scary moment that all boiled down to democracy. Rachel Maddow on October 20, 2016 said, quote, shock spiked down the nation's spinal column last night and today when the Republican nominee threatened that this little election thing you got there, this little democratic process you got there, it's nice, it's fine, but he doesn't necessarily plan on abiding by its decision when it comes to the presidency, unquote. My friends, I will not read you because you can see it for yourself. Go to AnnCoulter.com. CBS's Stephen Colbert had something to say. Bret Stephens in the Wall Street Journal. MSNBC's Joy Reid. CNN's Peter Boehnert. CNN's Van Jones. They all had something horrifying to say about not accepting election results, right? Let's move on. Back to Ann Coulter. Then Trump won. And these very same hysterics refused to accept the results of the election. Recently, Hillary announced her steadfast opposition to the winning candidate using a military term, saying she'd, quote, join the resistance. Imagine if Trump lost and then announced he'd joined the resistance. He'd be accused of trying to activate right-wing militias. Every dyspeptic glance at an immigrant would be reported as a fascistic violence. But the media seemed blithely unaware that the anti-Trump resistance, quote-unquote, has been accompanied by nonstop militaristic violence from liberals. When Trump ripped up our Constitution and jumped all over it by failing to concede the election 3 weeks in advance, CNN ran a segment on a single tweet from a random Trump supporter that mentioned the Second Amendment. Carol Costello, quote, still to come in the newsroom, some Trump supporters say they'll refuse to accept a loss on Election Day, with one offering a threat of violence. We'll talk about that next, unquote. In CNN's most fevered dreams about a violent uprising of Trump supporters, they never could have conceived of the level of actual violence being perpetrated by Americans who refused to accept Trump's win. It began with Trump's inauguration when a leftist group plotted to pump a debilitating gas into one of Trump's inaugural balls. Military families were assaulted upon leaving the veterans' inaugural ball, and attendees of other balls had water thrown on them. Since then, masked, armed liberals around the country have formed military-style organizations to beat up conservatives. In liberal towns, the police are regularly ordered to stand down to allow the assaults to proceed unimpeded. The media only declared a crisis when conservatives fought back, smashing the black-clad beta males. There's more media coverage for conservatives', quote, microaggressions towards powerful minorities, such as using the wrong pronoun, than there is for liberals' physical attacks on conservatives, including macings, concussions, and hospitalizations. Now some nut Bernie Sanders supporter confirms it's Republicans standing on the baseball field before opening fire. In the media's strategic reporting of the attempted slaughter, we were quickly told the mass shooter was white, male, and had used a gun. We were even told his name because it was not Muhammad. But the fact that the Hodgkinson's Facebook page featured a banner of Sanders and the words, quote, democratic socialism explained in 3 words, we the people since 1776, unquote, apparently called for hours of meticulous fact-checking by our media. Did reporters think they could keep that information from us forever? The fake news insists that Trump's White House is in, quote, chaos. No. The country is in chaos. But just like Kathy Griffin and her Trump decapitation performance art, the perpetrators turn around in doe-eyed innocence and blame Trump. Unquote. My friends, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to AnnCoulter.com. You're going to take the link. You're going to post it on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter. You're going to post it everywhere you can. You're going to share it with everybody you know. We're going to get the truth out to America. That is the least we can do. Item from the Hill. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday offered to give political asylum to former FBI Director James Comey, poking at tensions between Comey and President Trump. Quote, if Comey will be under the threat of political persecution, we're ready to accept him here, unquote, Putin said at a press conference according to Russian state media outlet TASS. Comey testified last week Trump had pressured him to, quote, let go of the FBI investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn before Trump fired him. Comey acknowledged leaking his personal memos about his conversations with Trump to the media, which the White House has seized on to attack the former FBI head's credibility. Unquote. So, Mr. Comey, tell me about collusion with the Soviet Union. They haven't offered to give Trump a home, but they've offered to let you move in free with political asylum. So, Mr. Comey, tell me again. Who should be investigated? By the way, Hillary Clinton, when Secretary of State, sold 20% of America's plutonium to Russia. So tell me again, Mr. Comey. Tell me again, CNN. Tell me again, Rachel Maddow. Who should be investigated for untoward ties with Russia? Donald Trump or James Comey and Hillary Clinton? All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up for the week, my friends, here on Real Truth. Stick around.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit, whether they are God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt, pass any bill of attainder, facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play. If you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best Italian Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo. Elizabeth Locker-Plan and Elizabeth reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early age. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Locker-Plan, located at 366 Grand Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in natural life HB and pork and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240.
All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left, and then we're all done. Over the weekend, you're going to go to my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. You're going to go to my other Facebook page, Personal Profit. You're going to go to my blog, personalprofit.wordpress.com. And if all that together doesn't help them, my friends, I don't know what to tell you. Unless you buy my book, Real Truth, Stay Angry. You can find it on Amazon.com, BarnesNoble.com, VirtualBookworm.com. You can hardly spit without finding my book on some .com. All right, so now I've taken care of you. Let's finish up with some news item from Breitbart. The New York Times published an editorial Wednesday evening about the attack on Republicans earlier that day, in which it claimed falsely that Sarah Palin incited the 2011 Tucson shooting of Gabby Giffords, unquote. We talked about that already, or rather Rush Limbaugh talked about it. Just another example of the New York Times feeling free to lie to you and me. Item from InfoWars. During a debate with Newt Gingrich on The View Tuesday, Whoopi Goldberg insisted Donald Trump got 98% positive media coverage during the election. My friends, if you want Exhibit A, the fact that liberals, and Whoopi Goldberg is as liberal as they come, are completely divorced from reality on the planet Earth. Here it is. The media coverage on Donald Trump has been 98% negative, obviously. But in Whoopi Goldberg's upside-down, head-up-the-ass world, it was 98% positive. Yeah. Item from Breitbart. Let's see. No, let's go to the Daily Post. Amnesty International on Friday stated that the coordinated attacks by Boko Haram that killed at least 17 people and injured 34 more Wednesday night were, quote, vicious, demonstrate a contemptible disregard for human life, and the bloodiest so far this year, unquote. Osai Ojogo, director of Amnesty International in Nigeria, in a statement made available to the Daily Post, said Boko Haram must end its campaign of unlawful killing of civilians. These deplorable attacks took place at a time when Muslims were breaking their fast during the holy month of Ramadan and demonstrate complete disregard for human life. Unquote. My friends, those are two staples of Islam, fasting in Ramadan and complete disregard for human life. Item from InfoWars. At least 150,000 women in Sweden are victims of female genital mutilation, according to a new study. A rise of over 100,000 over previous figures. The study, which includes all countries in Europe, has not yet been published, but Swedish broadcaster SVT obtained the figures for Sweden and discovered there are at least 150,000 FGM, female genital mutilation victims, living in the country, and probably significantly more given that there is silence surrounding the issue. Quote. My friends, Europe may be silent on the atrocities committed by Islam, but you know what? I am not. And you are not. This is a direct threat to us, our society, our way of life, our children, our grandchildren, and so we will not be silent about it. Go to my Facebook page. Look at the articles and videos I posted. Share them with everybody you know. Go to jihadwatch.com, which I've quoted many times on this show. Make a lot of noise, because if we don't, just as sin croucheth at the door, remember from the Bible, evil waits to pounce. And it's waiting for us to turn our gaze elsewhere. I'll be back on Monday with more Real Truth, my friends. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay angry.